Today we're going to talk about how much it costs to put one of these into one of these. And we're going to do that right now. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. If not, welcome back. My name's Aaron and this is A-Rob's Garage. If you like this video, click the like button. And if you want to see more videos like it, hit subscribe. This really helps the YouTube algorithms and also helps our channel grow. Now, whether you got a Mustang, Cougar, Fairlane, Falcon, or a Maverick, or even an F-100, and you want to know what the cost breakdown is for putting a Coyote into your classic Ford, well, I have created a very easy to follow Excel spreadsheet that details every single cost, and we're going to go over that today. But before we get to that, there's a few things that we need to cover first. There are so many variables in doing a swap like this, and even though you want to do the Coyote swap for your classic Ford, and you want to do it on the cheap, but as you get into it, things could change, and things change fast. You know, we're talking about a 50, 60-year-old car here that is tired and worn out, and everything or a lot of things may need to be upgraded. And so you might go in expected only to spend you know, $10,000 to $15,000 on this swap, but you quickly find out that you're going down a rabbit hole, and you end up spending easily over $25,000 in a restoration. So we're going to go over that today. Now, one of the major things that need to be done when you're doing your Ford Classic is the removal of the shock towers. As you can see here, they're completely removed. Another option is actually notching them, but some sort of modification to the shock towers has to be done. And so if you don't have any fabrication skills, it's gonna take some work and it's gonna take some time. But as long as you've got patience and do your research, it's possible to do this swap by yourself. All right, let's get into the spreadsheet and break down the cost. I created this spreadsheet as a budget planner for my Coyote swap, and I wanted something that gave me options to include a cost breakdown of purchasing a donor car or an engine and trans assembly, maybe something you'd see like a turnkey on a pallet, or piece it together as I go by purchasing individual components. Now, the way this sheet works here is all of the green boxes are drop-down menus, and so depending on which option you choose will change the price and add up the price as you go. And so this spreadsheet I have linked into the description. All you got to do is click the link and then save it to your own personal computer and adjust it as it fits with your build plan. So real quickly, let's go through an example or a couple examples. The first one, we're going to go on the cheap. You know, we are on a budget and we're going to do things as cheap as possible. And then our next example will be if we go all out. Money is no object. What we could expect to pay for a Coyote swap, and you'll see there is quite a difference. So first thing I'm going to choose is I'm going to purchase the individual components, and since we're going on the cheap, the Coyote Gen 1 is going to be our best option. So for our donor car or engine and trans package, our price remains $0, and then we're going to go down to our individual components portion. So for a Gen 1, we're going to expect to pay somewhere around $3,000. Obviously, you can find them much cheaper on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, but that's a good general plan. So for an intake, we are going to do a DIY, create our own, which will include just an elbow, maybe a 6-inch runner with a mass airflow sensor mount, and then also a filter.
Next, for an ECU and engine harness, we're actually going to pick the stock one. Now we can pick up the stock ECU and harness, and then I know you have to send out the ECU in order to get the pats removed. It does take a significant amount of time in order to get the stock one to work, but as long as you have the time and don't have the money, it presents a good option for you. Now for a transmission, you can see here I have a lot of transmission options, and the cheapest one on here is going to be probably the TR3650. Slightly beefier than the T5, but more than capable of handling a stock Coyote motor. Next, for a drive shaft, we're going to choose a DIY. This is a drive shaft kit, steel drive shaft kit you can pick up from Summit Racing, and is $250. Now, front suspension, being that the shock towers have to be removed, and the stock K-member needs to be removed, there needs to be a new cross member. And so we are going to use as much of the stock components as possible. We're going to use our stock suspension, but we are going to have to remove or notch the shock towers, and then also maybe custom make our own cross member and motor mounts for the Coyote swap. And transmission brakes, we are going to create our own, and just from materials from the steel, we can expect to spend about $50. For a clutch and torque converter, we're going to use a stock clutch and a stock flywheel. Next, we'll do clutch engagement. I personally like the hydraulic kit. There's really not a big difference in price between the hydraulic and cable, but we are gonna, for this option, we're just gonna choose hydraulic. Next, radiator and fans. Summit actually sells a really nice radiator, fan, and shroud setup for about $500. And so it's about the cheapest you're gonna be able to find for a radiator plus a shroud and fans, and all the necessary relays and wires to make that work. Next, for headers, we are going to choose Doug's headers. It clears most IFS setups, and we're with proper planning and fabrication, it should be able to clear our custom cross member. Next, we're going to go exhaust. We're going to create our own exhaust. Now this is going to include maybe a 2.5-inch stainless steel kit, whether it's from Jegs or Summit, then maybe a cross pipe or of some sort, or crossover of an X pipe or an H pipe, and then finally into a set of choose your own mufflers. So you can expect to spend about $700 there. Next, we will go to a master cylinder. Master cylinder, we're just going to choose the Wheelwood Basic Kit, which we can expect to spend about $500. Next is the front brakes. We're not going to choose anything there since we're trying to do this as cheap as possible. We're going to, maybe it's something we're going to do down the road, but is not absolutely necessary for this option. So we're going to leave the brakes out. Fuel system, we're going to do a DIY again. So piece all the components together, like the fuel pump, fuel pressure regulator, filter, lines, and assorted fittings. We can expect to see about $700 for that fuel system. And then lastly, steering. We're going to just go with a manual steering rack and pinion, and we can expect to see $200 for that. So now if we go back up, all the way up, we can see that our swap price came in just shy of $10,000 at $9,600. So now let's go through another scenario where money's no object. And so we're going to go with a Gen 3 Coyote. We're going to buy the components, or we're going to go with a full custom chassis, maybe from Schwartz Chassis Works. And so we're going to choose a engine and trans package. We're going to go with a Gen 3, and we can expect to spend about $8,500 for that. And don't pay attention to the price there. It'll change as we go down and change the options. So since we are doing a trans and engine package, this will be not applicable. For an intake, we're going to go with Mustangs to Fear. ECU, we're going to go with the control pack, which is the better option, more expensive, but better option, especially for the classic Fords. Now transmission, I know we got a transmission up in our donor package, but maybe we're going to upgrade to a T56 Magnum. All right, so the drive shaft, we are going to have something custom made, custom fitted, maybe from QA1. Next is our front suspension. This one we already talked about. We're going to go full custom chassis, which from Schwartz would be about $18,000. Now that would include all of your front suspension components, along with going all the way back to rear suspension, including your differential and rear suspension setups. Next, transmission brace will be not applicable, as it will be included in your full custom chassis. Then a clutch and torque converter, we're going to go with a performance package. Same thing with the flywheel. And clutch engagement, we're going to leave it hydraulic. Radiator fan setup, we're going to go with CNR. And headers, we're going to still remain with Doug's. Exhaust, we're going to choose a custom shop. We want something really nice, and so we're going to spend a little bit of money and have a custom shop make us some custom exhaust setup. Now master cylinder and brake lines, we're going to go all out here. We're going to get the Willwood pedals, master cylinders, maybe the remote reservoirs, and maybe even the firewall plate. Front brakes we don't need to worry about since it's included in our chassis kit. Fuel system, we're going to go with power by the hour with their Phantom fuel pump kit as well. And then steering, maybe we'll want to run air conditioning, so we want to save as much room on that on the accessory drives as possible on the engine. So we're going to go with an iDidit electric power steering. And if we go to the top here, we can see that we're north of $40,000 for this Coyote swap. So there's a wide range here. Obviously, the cheapest you're going to be able to really do a Coyote swap is about $9,600, maybe $9,000 if you can find some deals. But and it goes all the way up to north of $40,000 for a full setup. Now this is parts only. A lot of this does not include any labor, so any labor you can pretty much just count on doubling the cost of the parts. But anyway, thanks for watching.